So, welcome to another episode of All Things Writing. For those of you new to the program, uh, I want to thank you for tuning in. This show and the good people who come here to share their stories, share their experiences, they're dedicated. We're all dedicated to talking about, as you could possibly guess, all things writing. Name suggests. There you go. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, before we're going to get to that point, I want to ask you to do something for me. I need you to go to YouTube. I want you to open up your browser, and I want you to search in your YouTube, like the search window, type in at Brian the Writer. That's Brian with a Y, BRYANTHEWRITER. No spaces, Brian the Writer. Search on that. It's like the second one down. You're going to see my smiling face. Very handsome, very dashing in a jacket. Click on that. I want you to become a member on YouTube. Now, this is very, very important. There's a reason I'm asking you to do this. I'm doing all these cool videos on there lately. I've been doing a lot of the 5-minute with Brian episodes there. The 5 minutes with Brian is kind of fun. It was an idea that a friend of mine had, and she suggested it. And so far, I've liked it, and I'm happy to say that you seem to like it as well. Now, they're nothing more than just like 5-minute bites, completely unplanned, thoughts off the top of my head. I don't do them consistently, but I do enough of them that I think they're kind of interesting. People find them fun. However, I also want you to hit that like button on whatever outlet you're catching me on today. And remember to leave a review. Reviews are very, very important. And I appreciate them. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, write in the comments section anything you would like me to talk about or things on future shows. This is your outlet. These comments are your ways to talk to me, to tell me what you want me to do. Okay. I have to confess, I really had no idea what I was going to do today as far as a recording was going to go. I kind of hemmed and hawed about this idea of what I would do for a show because it'd been a little while and I needed to get something out. I knew that. I do have a couple of interviews coming up, by the way. It'll be great fun. I've got some cool people lined up. It took me a while to finally settle on a topic, and it's something that I don't know, I didn't want to do, but I wanted to do at the same time. So I figured, you know what, maybe, what the heck, let's give it a shot. I have to confess, well, to those of you who've been following me a while, you already know this. I am not a big political speaker, not on my channels anyway. I have political viewpoints. I keep them to myself. The reason I don't really share them is because you guys get enough of that crap. Look, all of the different major news outlets are, and one of my high school teachers gave us this term and I really liked it, or college. They said, this is infotainment. This is not news anymore. We've gone past news. Okay. Every different outlet wants you to have their opinion. They're not interested in independent thought. Independent thought is antithetical to the way news shows are run today. So, I resisted the temptation to sort of say anything about the writer's strike because I didn't want to jump into those waters too much. But I decided I really wanted to say something about it. I wanted to talk a little bit about it. And it's not really political, to be quite honest. The writer's strike is not necessarily political. I want you to think about something. Now, if you can believe the website scriptbinder.com, we can be confident in saying that the average writer in 2018 made about $110,000. There are some of you that are going to look at that amount of money and say, wow, that's incredible. That's a lot of money. Okay. Let's consider that in 2018, the average home price in LA was $588,000. So far, that $110,000 a year doesn't look all that good, to be honest. That's not a ton of money when you put it in those contexts. Now, of course, none of this takes into account things like money for things like insurance, food, daycare. Daycare is expensive. Everybody knows that. Your car needs to be paid for. Gas, upkeep on the car. There are a lot of things that you have to pay for that are, you can't just think in terms of mortgage. So now, okay, everybody has to start somewhere, right? We all have to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere, and you can bet out of the gate I didn't start making what I make now. Not in writing, because I don't make any money in writing. Well, okay, we're working on that one. Nobody should be making $200,000 out of the gate, $200,000 a year out of the gate as a scriptwriter. That's not fair to many other industries out there. You can't just decide you want to be a scriptwriter and poof, you're automatically making that money. But the average of $110,000 in 2018 takes the highs and the lows. There are people out there that scrape by with $23,000 a year. It's not a lot of money. For a long period of time, I have considered the role that writers play in script writing. They don't get paid what they're worth. Script writers really don't get paid what they're worth at all. Not as much as on-screen talent. Honestly, they should almost make as much, because without a script writer, what does the actor do? Nothing. The actor stands there and stares at the screen because they have no dialogue. Go out and watch a movie where there's no real dialogue. Try to find one, okay? For that matter, no stage direction, because there are little things you put into a script. I wrote a script recently that little pieces that tell you what you're looking at in that particular scene, or how the director should go with that scene. Writing is a very specific talent. It is an important talent, and script writers have a very challenging job. Now, to understand the pace and timing of things, to understand how different phrases and ideas work together to make a coherent story, that is a craft. That is a talent, ladies and gentlemen. I would argue they're actually more important than the actors themselves in many respects. Now, I don't have to say that, by the way. No, as a matter of fact, I don't have to say that. Superstar comedian, host of the Jimmy Fallon show, Jimmy Fallon, said it best. Honestly, I could not have put it better. He said, I wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for my writers. I support them all the way. That, to me, is extremely important. He's not the only one, by the way. There's a whole constellation of superstars in Hollywood that fell out for the writers' strike. They've even pointed out that there's so much money being pumped into these production. Why can't they make more money? They should make more money, but this isn't just about money, ladies and gentlemen. That's the thing to remember. I've admitted to you on All Things Writing and other venues that I use AI to write some of my social comments, some of my social content. All I have to do is plug in whatever information and interaction I really want to have, and the AI can go out and do the rest for me. But this is just a few lines of text, okay? This is not big, giant, pieces of text that are being produced. These are not whole scripts that are being produced. It basically cuts down the job of 3 hours into 30 minutes and gives me time back that I can spend writing and doing things like putting together a podcast or whatever. I promise you 1,000%, by the way, I will never use AI to write any fiction for me. I'm not going to do that. And I'm absolutely against anyone else doing it as well. This is just a terrible idea. Fiction writing is an art form. It's no different than painting or sculpting or producing music. We are taking thoughts and ideas and feelings and visions from our head, and we're putting them down on paper. We're making that image in our brains into something that people can read. It's amazing if you think about it. Stephen King called this a form of magic. You are breaking the laws of time and space. I can write a description of a table in a novel, and a person 150 years from now can read that description of a table and understand what I meant. That's magic. And honestly, the people in Hollywood who do the same thing, they should be paid for that as well. There's no place in fiction writing for AI. Absolutely not. There's no place in AI, no place for AI in creating art. Now, I know people will disagree with me on that point. Maybe you wouldn't, because you're my very intelligent audience, and I know you wouldn't. Also, an issue during the strike was this idea of health insurance. Now, I am surprised to learn that the minimum that you have to make in order to qualify for the health insurance through the Screen Actors Guild is a lot. It's a big chunk of money. And the premiums that you have to pay on those plans are so expensive that sometimes the even so-called the professional actors who have made it, who have that SAG credential, they still can't access the healthcare either because it just costs a lot of money. That's ridiculous. I know healthcare or health insurance has been kind of a big issue for us here in the United States for a few years. But even in a country that has so many health insurance issues, we should not have an issue like that in Hollywood. A place like Hollywood, really? I have a lot of issues with Hollywood, but that shouldn't be one of them. Now, I'm not a huge fan of unions. Some of you who know me will know, know me personally, will know that I've just never been a huge fan of unions. That sort of stems from the experience I had while living in Pennsylvania. What happened with the Bethlehem Steel Company in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, when that company went under, the unions basically packed up their belongings and left town, left everybody in a lurch. That wasn't fair and that wasn't right. They owed those people a lot of things. So it left me with a poor taste in my mouth for the unions that exist strictly to enrich the leadership. However, unions have their place. The nurses' strike a few years ago was all about hours in many respects. Nurses were tired of being abused by the hospitals. They were either not getting enough hours or being, used as fodder and working so many hours that they were exhausted at the end of the day. They were falling asleep, and then they were being berated by the administrations. That's not right. That's not fair. After working long hours, you don't deserve to be treated that way. So they went on strike. Something they didn't do lightly, by the way. I know my mom is still technically a nurse. She's retired, but that is something they didn't take lightly because they thought they cared about their patients, and that's important to them. Well, I suppose the really important thing about the nurses' strike was that the doctors came out and supported them. Interesting. Just like actors have come out in spades to support their writers, the people that write their lines for them. So what does this have to do with novel writing? Well, it really doesn't, except that it does have to do with all things writing. It's also something to pay close attention to, since who knows, maybe someday I'll find myself on that side of the coin where I'm doing script work. I don't currently do it. I have written a short script and put it in for some awards, but I haven't, I'm not. It's not a big part of my portfolio. But it's important to support my fellow writers, I believe. I have friends in the script writing business, and and they make a decent living, but they're not driving a brand new Lexus to, home every month. They make a living and they pay for everything that we normally pay for in life. And they do it, by the way, by doing something they very much enjoy. I also have friends that write novels. They do make a good living at that. And again, they don't drive new Lexuses home every month. Nope. They are getting paid to do what they love, and they do enjoy it. And someday I hope to be able to do that too. In November of this year, I'm going to be attending 20 Books to 50K. It's an event that takes place in beautiful, picturesque Las Vegas, Nevada. Yes, I'll probably do a little gambling. I'm one of those people that goes and I gamble a little, but I'm really not, I don't do it a lot. To me, it's just not that big of a deal. I do some of it, but anyway. I am going to be there to look at things like, how do we, how do you do your job as a writer better? That's really what is sort of on that whole thing, on that whole the 20 books for 50K experience, kind of the business end. It's a bit like a boot camp, if you will, for writers. Now, am I going to become a billionaire? No, of course not. But I can expect to walk away with some things that I didn't know before, things that will help make my business better. That's really, really, truly important, to be able to make your business better. Things I can apply to my operation here. It's neither here nor there. Maybe I make a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, writing is a business. I mean, yes, it's fun to be able to take the imaginary characters in your head, take them out, play with them a little bit, and record what they do. That is the best part about it being a fiction writer. But at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So I want to reiterate that we here at All Things Writing support 100% the writers in California. Really, they are walking the picket line for some very important things. For too long, they really haven't gotten the kind of the kind of attention and the kind of money that they deserve for what they do. They deserve a little bit better than what the Hollywood executives are willing to give them. And if we don't do something about AI, unfortunately, I have a very dim opinion of where that's going to ultimately end up. But we'll save that for another show, shall we? If you want to support the writer's strike, by the way, you can head over to the Entertainment Community Fund. That's easily findable in a search in Google, and you can make a donation to the cause, and that will go to support the writers of television or film, or the stage actors, or the stage writers and the stage actors and the stage performers. Supports the industry overall. Helps them fight for what's fair. So that's it for All Things Writing for this week. I know it's a short little show this week, not too terribly long, but remember, tune in every week and we'll have something new for you. If you have not gone over to YouTube and become a member there, please do so. I want to get a gazillion people to sign up for YouTube. That's what we're going for. All right. Well, everybody have a great, wonderful day, and we will see you very soon. For All Things Writing, this is Brian signing off.